I think we're all familiar with Madara Uchiha, right? One of the most iconic villains in anime history. He was born in a time of never-ending war, so he vowed to find a way to save the world from itself and give everyone the happiness they deserve. And that sounds all well and great, but if you actually stop and take a look at how the Naruto world actually operates, you can see that Madara made a crucial mistake that ended up not just jeopardizing his goals, but possibly causing the downfall of the entire Naruto world itself. And that's why today I'm gonna prove to you guys how Madara accidentally doomed the Naruto world. To know what I mean, we first have to take a look at Naruto Kai no Sho, a guidebook with a lot of really cool art and behind-the-scenes conversations, but for today's video, the part of the book that we're most interested in is the biographies of each of the 5 major villages: the leaf, the sand, the cloud, the mist, and the stone. And part of those descriptions are some very telling statistics on each of the villages' populations, percent of the population that's in the military, and their economy, which isn't that important for today's video. And thanks to us having confirmation that the Shinobi Alliance had roughly 80,000 members, that would give us an idea of just how many shinobi each village has. But I can hear 2 main concerns you might have. 1, the samurai are also part of that 80,000, and 2, the genin from each of those villages are not part of the war. Starting off with the first one, yes, we do see that a lot of samurai are involved in the war. However, since we know that the Land of Iron isn't one of the major lands, we can estimate that it has a 1 out of 5 population and military, which is even lower than the Sand's 2 out of 5 in both categories. And as for all the missing genins, we do actually have a rough idea of how many genin there are between all 5 of the nations. As from Naruto chapter 39, we learn that between the Leaf and the Sand's genins in Naruto's Chunin exams, they only had a combined 107 genins taking the test. Obviously, that number is going to be a lot higher once you consider the other 3 villages and any genins who didn't want to take the exams, but even with all that considered, I don't see the number of genins going past around 500. So in the grand scheme of things, the number of genins isn't all that important. With both those concerns out of the way, that leaves the question of just how many soldiers each village contributed to the war. Well, after adding up the totals of the various military sizes and converting them into a percentage, we find out that out of the 80,000 soldiers in the 4th Great Shinobi War, the Leaf contributed about 22,000 ninjas, the Sand brought about 5,900, the Cloud had about 17,000, the Mist brought about 8,000, the Land of Iron brought about 1,400 samurai, and the Stone, shockingly, contributed the most with about 23,000 ninjas, despite having a lower population than the Leaf. All of this for a grand total of about 79,920 soldiers in the war. And after some trial and error trying to find what populations would work in these calculations, we end up with roughly the Leaf having 37,000 people, the Sand and Mist both having about 14,000 people, the Cloud having about 22,000, the Stone having about 29,000, and the Land of Iron has about 7,000. This tells us that between the 5 great hidden villages and the Land of Iron, there are about, drumroll please, 125,000 people, which is shockingly low. To put that into perspective, if you took the total population into consideration in our world, that would only make it the 178th largest country out of 195. The problem is, it doesn't get any better with the war. Out of the 80,000 soldiers that joined the war effort, split between 5 groups of 16,000, we know that about 40,000 ended up dying on the first day, leaving about 8,000 for each division. And on the second day, Madara showed up and completely annihilated the 4th division, immediately dropping it to 32,000. And if we estimate that roughly half the Shinobi Alliance died again, that would drop it from 32,000 to 16,000 heading into the final battle. And since we don't actually know how many people died in the final battle, I took a lowball estimate and said that there were about 1,000 casualties in that fight. That leaves us with 80,000 people starting the war and only 15,000 living to finish it, a survival rate of just over 18%. For context, that would mean out of the 22,000 shinobi the Leaf deployed, only about 4,000 came back, turning its population from 37,000 to only 18,900. And it does not get better for any of the other villages, as they all took massive damage to the sizes of both their military and general population, bringing the overall population from 125,000 to only around 60,000. Less than half. And this finally brings me back to the point I was trying to make at the start of the video, that Madara accidentally doomed the world. So, what did I mean by that? Well, when Madara decided to curse Obito's life and inadvertently cause the 4th Great Shinobi War, he failed to realize that what was left of the population, even if he succeeded, would be susceptible to the greatest danger the world has: natural disasters. And no, this is not a joke. Within only the past 20 years, there have been no less than 5 natural disasters that would have absolutely been enough to wipe the Naruto world off the map. And this isn't even me bringing up things like famine or disease, which historically also have more than enough power to kill every single person in the Naruto universe. Frankly, Boruto, Sarada, and the rest of the new generation had better be on their toes, because their greatest foe might just be their most unexpected one yet. But until next time, goodbye.